We're at the Japanese Garden in Washington Park, 5.5 acres with 5 separate gardens, from the flat garden to the sand and stone garden, which is behind us. It's a very busy place. We've been here all day and I've seen folks come through, yet I've never been here. This is the first time. I should be slapped, I know. So glad you're with us on Comcast Newsmakers, everyone. I'm Ken Ackerman. Our next guest feels that a high school diploma is a lie. What does that mean? Let's ask him. Please welcome Andrew Mason, Executive Director of Open Meadow. Thanks for being here. Diploma's a lie.
You know, in the 20th century, there were manufacturing jobs in the United States. We now have a high-skilled economy, and students need the opportunity to learn beyond what a high school diploma can provide them, whether that's an advanced credential or college-level training. As we offshore more jobs, you gotta have more training. So at Open Meadow, we're there to tell students, you know, we're in the business of supporting you and making sure that you can get a job, a family wage job in the 21st century.
What is the high school graduation rate right now?
Well, in Portland, there was a study that was done in 2004 by the Schools Foundation and the Portland Public School District that looked and said, wow, it's 57%. That means 43% of our students were not graduating in 4 years. That was done again in 2008, and it was roughly the same with some improvements, but it does mean that there's a very significant portion of our population that we're either going to leave behind or find some options so that we can not just have them be a drag on the system, but really figure out how do we harness that human capital to help advance our economy in the coming century. You
know, and a lot of people, when they think about dropouts, they think about high schoolers. It goes beyond that, doesn't it?
Well, so most of the students that we talk to, the data can look and say, look, here's 60% of them that we can identify in 9th grade. You can identify, Johns Hopkins did a study that said here's 45% of them that you can identify in 6th grade. And students will tell you, you know, I knew I was dropping out in middle school, but you don't start earning high school credits until high school, and that's when you start seeing your friends thinking about dropping out and that kind of thing. But there are plenty of students who are bouncing off the walls. I personally think that middle schools shouldn't have walls much like this room, and students need to be out and active and doing something. Mm-hmm. And so it's that it's an active kind of an atmosphere when students are starting to say, yeah, you know, I'm going to need something different, maybe something relevant that I can see that will apply to my skills for when I'm looking for a job when I get older.
How does Open Meadow differ from a traditional curriculum?
So our focus is on those students who I like to call the clover-shaped pegs, who don't fit into the square-shaped hole of the traditional public system. And not that that's bad, but our focus is on another group of students. And so we really emphasize a personalized environment. That's small class sizes. Mm-hmm. You'd have to work to find a class that's more than 14. It's providing intensive supports, whether that's transportation, whether it's free breakfast and lunch, which we provide local organic to all of our students, or it's making sure that the small classes offer a pacing that's different for the different clover-shaped pegs, or teaching pedagogy, meaning, you know, are we doing visual learning, auditory learning, are we approaching a student the way they want to be approached? And in Portland, of the students who aren't succeeding, it's a high proportion of kids in poverty and kids of color. And so for us, it means not ignoring those issues, but facing head on, what does it mean to be a black and brown student in Portland schools now? What does it mean to be a kid in poverty, and what kind of supports do you need?
Now, you tell me you try to get extended family involved, and you always read that helps as far as graduation. How hard is that for you?
It can be very challenging. The one thing that I think I find is that some people think that, you know, the families don't want kids to make it, and I have yet to find a parent who says, gosh, I don't want my kid to learn, and I don't want my kid to have a good job. And so it's a matter of reaching those families in the way that they need to be reached. And so you have to think about how you're dressing when you're showing up in their living rooms. It means you have to think about what the language is that you're speaking and what the hours are that you're keeping. And so we're making aggressive use of text messaging and what have you to do a clean interface and to communicate on the terms that people want to be communicated in.
Andrew Mason, thank you very much, from Open Meadow, Executive Director. And thank you, everyone, for being here on Comcast Newsmakers here at the Japanese Gardens. For the crew here, I'm Ken Ackerman. Make it a great day.